I know that we've talked about providence and sovereignty before, and it seems like every time we do, there's more questions raised, and it results in a really interesting week of life group. Because there's all kinds of crazy questions that are being asked, and people are thinking about it. And I just need to tell you, I'm okay with that, right? I think it's important, and I want you to be thinking deeply about this kind of stuff. And at the risk of oversimplification, I'll just give you an illustration. Imagine you discover a bullet hole in, a bullet hole in a pane of glass. You would probably conclude that the hole was caused because a bullet passed through the glass, right? And you would connect that to maybe the firing of a gun, which was caused by someone pulling the trigger. And before that, a person picked up the gun and held it. And before that, a person purchased the gun. And before that, a person built the gun. And before that, a person designed the gun. Right? As Christians, we affirm that God is sovereign over everything since he ordains whatsoever comes to pass. He's the first cause of events, yet we would not say that God pulled the trigger. Right? We would not attribute the breaking of the glass to God. The person who fired the gun is responsible for the damage that was caused by the bullet. And most people's problems with divine sovereignty and providence, if they have a problem with that, is exactly that. They're concerned about, what about personal responsibility? So listen to me and hear me well. God's providential rule, God's sovereignty does not nullify personal liability and responsibility. It just doesn't. Everything that God made works according to its nature, the nature that God gave it. And God has designed us as creatures to be moral agents who are responsible for all of our thoughts and all of our musings and all of our feelings and all of our words and all of our deeds and all of our behavior and so on. We will answer to God for our actions. I cannot stress that enough. And of course, lest we forget, the greatest sin ever committed in the history of the world. What's the greatest sin ever committed in the history of the world? How about the murderous execution of Jesus, of the God-man? It's the greatest sin ever committed. It was planned out in advance by God. It was executed by evil men who acted out exactly what they wanted to do and were 100% responsible for what they did. And yet every detail was planned.